What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be Single Mother Tells Abba the Dark Truth, alright? Y'all gotta listen to this video because she goes off. It's about 14 minutes long and y'all know I be ranting, so I am going to let it play out a little bit before I give my input. But what she has to say is very important for people to hear about single parenthood, alright? Before I get into the video though, I gotta do the YouTube stuff. The goal is 30,000 subscribers by June. It's a crazy goal, it's a big goal, but it's my goal, all right? And the only way I'm going to get to my goal is if you give me the HBO special. Do you know what the HBO special is? That's the Help a Brother Out special, all right? So go on and help a brother out. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. I'm going to give y'all a second to do that. All right, now let's get to the video. Single mom tells Abba the dark truth about single motherhood. Let's see what she's going to say.
So I know that you actually watched our video. You were also there during the live where we were kind of talking about the topic, correct?
I was, yeah.
And for you, when you were there during the live, basically we were talking to a bunch of ladies who said that they wanted to raise a kid by themselves and they were excited. And I know that you yourself, you're a single mom, so I kind of wanted to get your perspective on it just because I felt like it's always kind of good to hear from different folks. And so what did you think about that whole discussion? People wanting to raise kids by themselves, their attitude in regards to it. Like, what did you think when you were little?
Well, at first I thought we need to put some more respect on our names because it's not easy at all. I don't know. There wasn't a single mom there that said that they would do that. It was only people that didn't have any kids, right?
Right. What it is that they're missing? Because I hear like, oh, if you got a village or, you know, all this.
Oh, I was going to touch on that. Yes. That shit irked the shit out of me. Okay, first of all, when we think about what that means, it's a different community. It's not like our Western community. When you say we have a village, it's completely different, right? They're intertwined and they're helping each other in a way that we North Americans don't do that. We're completely separated by our lives and our jobs and our homes and where we live, etc. So people might make the most promises to you when you got a little sucker in your stomach, but trust me, those 3 a.m. wake up calls and the postpartum depression and the colicky babies that cry, your village is not going to be there. They're going to be sleeping because they have to go to work. You might want to be a single parent, right? But are you going to be single forever? Because it's just like, you think you're just going to decide to date and just bring somebody into your house and just like, okay, this is my child, love them. That's not how it works. There's complications and dynamics. It's not the same kind of love as if you were with the father. Well, but when I wanted to be in a relationship, the biggest issue is trying to bring everyone together because that person's not going to want to parent the way you want to. Your kid's not going to want this random ass man that all of a sudden you're in love. Okay, that ain't my fucking daddy though, right? So...
That's facts.
That's
facts
though. But am I wrong?
No, you're not. How about I tell you, just to feel like, yo, I got my dad's back, I'm going to reject him outright because I'm loyal to my dad. No one's going to replace him. So sometimes there's even resentment that builds there where it like puts a strain on the person trying to come in, right?
Exactly. And then he's going to be like, listen, I ain't trying to friggin' fight my whole life with this little motherfucker. I love you, not him. Right? Or her. So it's this thing. And then on top of that, you're dealing with responsibilities that person you're bringing in, they don't have those same responsibilities. It's not their kid. So you want to be, and another, I can go on forever. So you want to be working, you want to be a partner to this new partner. You want to be a parent that's fair and emotionally fulfilling. You want to be able to give back to yourself and have your own time. It's impossible to do that everything equally, even if you had the father there. So if you're by yourself, to think that you're going to be able to give yourself and your child everything.
And the other thing that people don't consider is like, yeah, I make a lot of money. So it'll be like, listen, oftentimes the issue isn't even the money aspect. Sometimes it's just time.
That's what it is most of the time. I don't really hear kids too much being like, bitch, you didn't buy me Teddy Ruxpin. And but everything's... Everything is always 80s, but yeah, you don't hear that. It's like you weren't there. You didn't come to my prom or whatever. It's always the more fulfilling things that I think that kids have resentment for, you know, I hear about the most. Sometimes it's money, but most of the time not. And you might be able to have all the money in the world, but guess what? You're at work making that money with your kid. Right?
Hey,
and you're
preaching.
Like, I'm speaking from the heart, you know?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you open up your child and they're more susceptible to vulnerabilities because Yeah, that's a babysitter, but criminal record checks don't mean shit. Okay. If somebody's crazy and they've never been arrested before, what does that mean? A lot of times in court, when you hear about kids getting taken advantage of, it's about a third party that was brought into the home under the idea that the mother trusted them, whether it was a partner or a babysitter they hired or anything. And your child is vulnerable to complete strangers, regardless of how much you trust them, you know? So, and you're going to have to do that if you're going to be working and you're a single parent. So,
and I'm gonna just jump in here just for a little bit. And by the way, go subscribe to Abba and Preach. Okay, they make really good content. I will leave a link in the description below. This is great content, and I'm happy this sister is speaking out about this topic. Okay, because in my community personally, all right, in the African American community, and this is a growing trend in every community, all right, but just speaking as an African American, I see this all too often. This life being glorified, okay? There is nothing honorable about being forced to raise a child by yourself, okay? There's nothing good about having to raise a child by yourself. You have 4 gates of protection as a woman before you get to the point where you carry a child to term, okay? And I discussed this in a lot of my other like small shows and podcasts or my little reaction, whatever y'all want to call them, all right? But the 4 are: you could go on birth control. If you don't want to do that, you can use condoms. If the condom bursts or you just don't want to wear them because, you know, you feel like you ain't really having sex. You know how people be. They be saying, so you have birth control, you have condoms. If you don't want to do that, you have plan Bs. All right? If you don't want to do that, you have reproductive rights as a woman in America in 2021. Now, and I always give this disclaimer, it is not my thing. I don't personally agree with it. If it's me in the situation, I don't want that to happen, okay? But we're not going to act like that isn't an option that some people may need to exercise, because when you bring a child into the world and you're a single mother, not only are you starving yourself, but you have the potential of starving that child too, in terms of nurturing, in terms of what that child needs to grow up and be a contributing member to society. Do we need to go over the statistics again? Okay, we're talking about higher chance of suicide. Children that are raised by single mothers, particularly higher chance of suicide, more likely to go to prison, less likely to graduate high school, more likely to have a child before the age of 18. These are all problems, okay, when it comes to single motherhood, and single motherhood is single-handedly destroying America, all right? And this isn't just me just red flagging. You cannot build strong economic structures in any communities if you have single motherhood, all right? Families are the first thing that comes when you're trying to build a strong structure to build economics in your communities. You have to have families. And this is something that the Black community in particular has been lacking since the 60s, since this feminist movement has been growing. And you know what movement I'm talking about. There's a direct correlation between the rise of popularity of this movement and the rise of single motherhood in America. In the 70s, I forget who quoted it, but they said that 29% single motherhood rate or children out of wedlock was a travesty, okay? The percent now of Black children being born out of wedlock is 78%, and every other demographic in America is also on the rise. This is this growing trend of promiscuity being taught to young girls and saying that this is okay. Men as fathers and men as protectors, uncles, brothers, I don't give a damn what you is, but you got to talk to somebody and let them know that there are consequences to these decisions. Let's continue the video. I'm sorry I went on a rant, but this is something I'm actually passionate about, because I am for building families for the future of the country, for the future of the world. You don't get a strong country, you don't get a strong economy, you don't have a strong just structure in general. If you don't have a structure, you don't have families. That's just how it works. Let's continue the video though.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. It's like, why take away? Like, I just don't understand what's better than one parent's love, two parents' love, right? So I don't get why you would actively, sometimes shit happens. Like me, I had no business having a baby with the guy I chose. But why would you actively make that decision?
Yeah. Exactly. What are some other struggles that you had for you individually?
Okay, well, I was lonely as hell because when I had a baby and none of my friends had babies and they weren't, or they had babies and they had a partner, they had a lot more freedom than I did. So, and they don't want to come over to your house so that you can be like, 1 second, I got to pull my titty out, or 1 second, I got to go do, you know, they want to be around you when you're able to be there. So you spend a lot of time alone with your child, and it's a lot because your child's not, you might love your child, but they're not going to give you that adult one-on-one that you need, that what you need from other members of society. They're just like Paw Patrol. You know what I mean? So you're missing out on that. Then I had to earn money. I was on Ontario Works at first, but I was like, fuck this. So when I decided to go to school, I didn't sleep at all. So unless these ladies are completely like they're done with their career choice, then it's a horrible decision to be a single parent and try to get your career. And I lost my earning potential because I'm at home with my kid. And even though my job is still available to me, I don't get to have a repertoire with people that come in. Things change and I don't know what they are. People forget about you. The connection you have with your boss is not as strong as it was before you left, because when you're gone for 2 years is a long ass time to not to be at a company. And that's only if everything runs smoothly with your child, because some children have disabilities that they're born with and other issues. So you lose your earning potential regardless if you have your job or not. Lonely as hell. They're expensive. They're draining. They require a lot. When I say a lot,
go ahead. Talk to them. Listen,
okay,
you got firsthand experience, so you could give tangible experience. So go ahead, bro.
They don't sleep. It was very confusing. They say they sleep for 3 hours every hour, but if you are spending 1 hour breastfeeding, 1 hour burping and trying to get them to bed, then they're really only sleeping for an hour. And then it's time for you to wake up a grown ass adult. And you can't say, babe, can you just take this? Can you just let me give you a bottle and you do with that? You're by yourself. Then you don't know. My daughter had issues, like she was colicky, and she was, I had to take her to the hospital a couple of times for her own personal medical issues. And I did that by myself, you know, and I was exhausted. And then when I decided to go to school, so basically you lose your sleep. So if you bitches like to sleep, it's over. And you get resentment with them too, because I resented my daughter's father because I'm like, yo, this guy's free. He can do whatever he wants. Like, I didn't bother. I felt like it was my choice. You can't draw blood from a fucking stone. So I can waste all my time trying to take him to court. I know he ain't doing shit, right? So of course a bunch of resentment builds up, and then it will naturally, you will take it out on your child. I'm telling you right now, you won't realize it, but you're gonna snap on them. They're gonna get on your nerves, and it will be and you won't have that release to be like, no, let me just chill for the day because I don't want to take it on you. You have to be there for them.
When you talk to other single parents, like do they echo a lot of the same sentiments and issues that you mentioned?
Oh yeah. Even worse. Yeah, absolutely. They're drained. They're tired. I've had my friends call me sometimes and be like, listen, I hate this little motherfucker. Like, I don't know. I feel terrible, but like, it's constant. It's incessant. They're just crying uncontrollably. They hate the way their body looks. Their hormones are all messed up. Because you have to think your body goes through the biggest change it's ever going to go through in its entire life.
And she's really diving in now. Okay. If you've listened to this point, because I know a lot of people got the attention span of a chicken sandwich, okay? So I know a lot of people didn't probably went on and did whatever, watched the next day, whatever. But if you've made it to this point, there's no reason why you don't understand how hard it is to be a single parent. She's diving into it. She's really getting into it. The life that people glorify. She's talking about her social life. It's going to take a toll on a woman's social life. And this is and so all those little trips to Miami you see these single mothers doing, I be seeing these single mothers, they barely even got their child a date. They're booking the tickets before they find a person to take care of their child while they're gone. Okay? They're booking the tickets to go to Miami for a weekend and trying to act like they're balling. It's $150 to go to Miami round trip. Who are you kidding? You're gonna get there Friday night. All right. Then you may go out Friday, Saturday, and then you're coming back home on Sunday. Y'all be trying to act like y'all balling with these $150 trips going to Miami. And y'all ain't even booked, y'all ain't even got a daycare for y'all kids. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the kind of behavior, because y'all want to go out and try to compensate for your negative body image. That's what these women are doing. They see themselves as horrible. They feel like a piece of, they feel horrible because they got pregnant by a bum, and that's what she's talking about. But at least she's talking about it in a regretful way. She's warning women about the future that they may have if they don't be careful with who they choose to lay down with. It's that simple. And that's why I really appreciate her for coming on Ab and Preach on this major platform and talking about this, because this is important for not only women but for men to hear too. All right, because she also talks about how you begin to resent the baby father and you begin to have this emotional outburst. She talks about how hard it is to discipline or to step in the family if you are trying to be a stepdad. And this is why I tell men, don't date women don't date single mothers. All right, this is why I tell men, do not date single mothers, because it's going to come with a certain resentment, because she's already had a man leave her life in her most vulnerable position. She's going to have abandonment issues off the rip. That's just coming into the game. Then you got to talk about what the kid's going to bring to the game in terms of the kid just resenting you because you're not the kid's father. Okay? And you got to tiptoe all the time. And for a single mother, her child is always going to come before you as a man. All right, so you're going to be pretty much raising another man's child. You're going to be raising another man's legacy that will not appreciate your sacrifice. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but if the woman, the child could appreciate your sacrifice if they grow up to the age where you start to appreciate a father's sacrifice. Because a lot of kids don't appreciate a father's sacrifice until they get older and they realize the discipline actually formed them as a person. And I know I didn't appreciate everything my dad did until I got older and I realized it shaped me as a person. But if you don't get them to that age in terms of taking care of them, by the time this woman leaves, everything that you will have worked for and invested into that child and this woman that isn't yours will be gone. It's a lost investment. All right. So that's why I tell men, don't date single mothers. And she's expressing all of the same issues. She ain't telling y'all to not date single mothers, but she's pretty much telling y'all don't date single mothers. It's a wreck. It's a train wreck. And the fact that us as Americans are allowing this, and black people specifically are allowing this to just become our culture, is absolutely ridiculous. All right, we have to do something about this epidemic. If you want to talk about a war on drugs, quote unquote, which was a horrible decision, this should definitely be a war on this. This is affecting all of Americans, and this is going to be what tips it. It's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm trying to tell y'all. 78% is just unacceptable for children born out of wedlock. It's just ridiculous, especially with so many options in terms of ways to prevent it. Okay, so let's continue the video and see what she got to say.
Right. And your kid's inside of you basically sucking the life out of you for 9 months. Right?
Yeah.
So when you have a baby, you are so tired. You're supposed to have that support system there so that you can, bounce back.
Right.
But when you don't get that, and you have all this other financial worries, just loneliness, whatever, you undoubtedly, it affects you mentally to the point where I've had parents can't get out of bed.
Right. Let me ask you. So you don't mind, your kid's how old at this point?
17, yeah. She's
17. Oh, yeah, and have there been moments even now as she's grown older that have been maybe a bit awkward or difficult due to you being a single mom, or due to just the situation with the father and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, for me, for my daughter and her father, I don't, even though I have my issues with him, they're not her business because I chose him. So I don't talk shit about him. Right. And I don't, if they want to see each other, that's fine. They have FaceTime, they talk, whatever. Right. But I do know parents.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in real quick just to say this. Ladies, keep that energy. Understand that this is the person you chose. If he's a horrible person, that's the person you chose to give the most valuable gift you have to give to humanity, and that is your womb. So if you chose a horrible person, that's the person you've signed a contract to deal with for the rest of your life. Keep that in mind when you're laying down, and it seems all fun and games until you gotta wait 9 months, and there's a there's a baby on the there. I ain't gonna get into there's a baby there. All right, let's continue the video.
Parents that are like, he ain't shit. What do you want to see him for? He ain't even give me $1. He ain't paid it. You know what I mean? And so that can be awkward when you see kids like just sitting there watching their mom just badmouth the dad, and or just, you know, or even say like, I do everything for you and you want more, and you know what I mean? And it's like, well, if you chose the dad, you could have had more to give, and then you're mad at the kid because they want more from you that you can't give because you're only one fucking person, right?
Right.
And what I've noticed is that when you make these decisions and you figure out that you decided it was a bad idea, your children make those decisions too. My mom was a single mother, and I'm a single mother, and I'm trying to stop it right now from my daughter being a single mother, but it goes down the line. Your decisions are generational. So you really need to think about what it is that you're doing at that time.
Okay, I find that interesting. So you said, what is it about the way that your mom raised you that you think primed you more likely to be in this scenario, in your opinion?
Two things. One, I was observant and I noticed what was going on at whatever time. And two, she didn't talk to me about it, right? So if my mom had been like, listen, girl, I love you, but this was hard. Right. And I suggest that we didn't have that discussion. So for me, you just want to emulate your mom, or if things happen to you, like it happened to your mother, you feel like, no big deal, my mom did it, right? So it's super important for maybe, because a lot of these kids, or these women that were talking in your chat, they said that their moms are single moms and their moms did a great job, but did they talk to their moms about the nuances and what was like really going on maybe behind the scenes and how the mother felt at that time and the depression she might have gone through? Because we don't always share everything because we feel like we're going to hurt our kids, right? So you're not getting the full scoop when you say, oh, my mom was a single mom, I could do it. Yeah. You don't know how many nights she cried by herself, how stressed out she was. Maybe she went hungry sometimes so that you could eat, but you didn't even notice that shit. You know what I mean? Or depression she might have had because she feels like, I can't be the woman that I thought I could be because I made this. You know what I mean?
I mean,
you do get resentment.
I'll confess this to you, but like that's always one of those things where I'm like, I feel like as a parent, you inherently have to sacrifice a lot of your own well-being in order to make sure that your kid is good. But sometimes it's almost to a degree that's unfair when you're a single parent. I think all parents have to sacrifice, but for single parents, even more so, you know, your own. And a lot of people, I think, don't understand what that burden looks like and what they're signing up for when they're making the choice so casually. So to me, it's not just like, don't necessarily do it. It means like, if you're going to do it, understand what you're getting into. And most people...
Exactly. If you're going to do it, understand what you're getting yourself into. When you have a society that praises this kind of behavior, when you have a society that praises promiscuity, and by the way, this is the end of the video. Again, go subscribe to Abba and Preach. They make great content. Whoever this woman, Azaria the Amazon, her social is going to be on their channel as well. This is what we need more of in our community. And I know they're not necessarily from America, but still, either way, this is what we need. We need to see black faces talking about these problems because it has affected the black community disproportionately to every other community, although it is starting to affect every other community as well. But she goes into a lot of things that I like to touch on, and she talks about it being generational. Okay, and like I said earlier, when you're raised by a single mother, for the girls that are raised by single mothers, they are taught to be hard. They are taught to bear more responsibility than they should, while the young boys are allowed to be children and have no consequences for what they do. The mother is always there to coddle these boys, okay? If they get in a fight at school, she's there to yell at the principal instead of to yell at the boy. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, statistically speaking, if you are raised by a single mother as a girl, your chances of being pregnant before the age of 18 is higher, okay? And why is this? Why does this happen? Because women are naturally empathetic, okay? Women are empathetic beings. So when a mother has already went through this before, and then her child at 15 years old, 16 years old, and she's never had this conversation with her child because maybe she's too busy, maybe she doesn't want to discuss it, maybe she doesn't understand the importance of it. I'm not sure why. But she doesn't have this conversation with her child. She doesn't get her child on birth control when she's at the age where she's going to start having sex. She doesn't want to talk about sex. She wants to ignore it as if teenagers aren't having sex. Okay. And when she comes with that baby and says, Mom, I'm pregnant, this and this and that, what am I going to do? The mother, because she's naturally empathetic, is going to say, because she's been through it and she's empathetic, she's going to say, it's okay, baby, we can do this. All right. It's going to be hard, but we're going to get through it, this and this and that. But there is no source of logic in this situation, and this is why it's repetitive. And I know of a situation very recently in my life where this has happened. Okay, the girl came over. She was talking to her mother, and she was telling her she didn't want to have the child. And the mom kind of wanted to have the child, so she ended up having the child. And they weren't even there, or they weren't even at that point in their life where they should do that. People have to understand that a child is a $250,000 investment. Okay, it takes an average of $250,000 to raise a child from 0 to 18 years old. So you can't be broke and then going out and saying, oh, I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini. That's pretty much what people are doing. When you're in a bad predicament, when you're already poor, you're waking up and you're saying, oh, let's go buy a Lamborghini. That's what you're doing when you have a child. And a Lamborghini would probably be better because it ain't as stressful. It ain't going to cry. You know what I mean? At least you can look cool in one. But on a serious note, though, there is no logic in these households when they don't have a father to balance that structure out. The logical side says, you got yourself into this situation, we gonna go handle business regardless. Or the logical side says, you're at the age of 16, 17, we need to have these discussions about sex. Because I know little boys is gonna be all up over you, this and that. We need to have these conversations now. So let's get you on some birth control, or teach you the importance of condoms, or you have the ability to come to us and tell us if you need a plan B, or you could go talk to your mother and tell her that you need a plan B because these are things that we have to do now because you're of that age, and you have to do this responsibly if you're going to take part in this, and teach them the consequences. They don't have that logical side in the family. So it just goes unseen and it goes unheard, and then you have another generation and it just keeps repeating. All right, people. Dads, brothers, uncles, whatever, we have a responsibility in this. We have to teach sisters, little sisters, daughters, nieces, whatever it may be, the importance of this situation. If you have friends that are parents, you have to tell them that it's important for them to have this conversation with their kids. If you have friends that are in any situation, anytime there's kids involved that are coming to visit this age, this should be discussed, because even in sex ed, they don't teach you the harsh reality of what it's like to be a single parent. And I'm not even just talking about single mothers, just a single parent in general. All right, you're the poorest demographic. All right, you're the poorest demographic in the country the moment you become a single mother. And if that ain't disadvantage enough, I don't know what is. Your social, she already covered it. Your social life diminishes. Okay, you're all hormonal. You hate the way your body looks. There's no one there to comfort you. There's no one there to help you. Need I continue? Again, guys, go subscribe to Abba and Preach. I am going to have a link in the description below to the rest of this video if you guys want to finish it. This is great content. Big ups to Abba and Preach for this one. Azaria, I'm probably butchering your name. Azaria, the Amazon, you are heaven sent. And if there are going to be single mothers, they need to be like this, because she is willing to understand that her situation was the consequence of her decisions. And that's super important. The accountability is super important to get rid of this problem. Till next time.